Okay. Welcome everyone to Meditations from Sinai, lesson number 3. To recap what we learned about in the lesson number 1 and number 2, or how we got here from the beginning, we learned that meditation is organically Jewish. That meditation is not something that belongs or that it's only to the religions from the East, but is something organically Jewish. Our forefathers meditated. They were shepherds. That's what they did the whole day. Then we spoke about 2 types of meditation. We spoke about the hitbonenut type of meditation and hitbodedut type of meditation. We said that one is hitbodedut. It's a meditation of removing, or it's a meditation of focusing on the negative and removing the negative to reach the inner treasure that we have. And meditation number 2, which is hitbonenut, was or is to actually focus very deeply in the positive or in that treasure that we have until we achieve a connection with that treasure. Treasure, I'm saying here, referring to the neshama, to the Jewish soul that we each have. And at times it could be a little bit maybe not at the surface. At times could be covered by, baggage throughout life, and we have to uncover it. We have to get to the bottom of it. So we have those 2 ways, either by trying to remove all the negative thoughts and negative habits until we reach who we are, our soul, or to focus on the soul in such an intense way that we kind of like achieve that level of connection. We mentioned that there is a risk of, in the hitbodedut type of meditation, we have a risk, and that is that by being focused on the things that need to be removed or in the negative things, we could fall on the risk of feelings following the negative thoughts. As we mentioned in the first class, how meditation could help at the most technical level, that through meditation, or that whatever our mind is busy with, our feelings will follow. So if in the hitbodedut type of meditation, if we only focus on the negative, it's a matter of time until our feelings or the feelings of negativity follow those thoughts. And that's why that was not, although is a method of meditation that was highly used, and that was as we saw that even in the school of prophets, that's one of the methods that they used in order to achieve prophecy. Nevertheless, nowadays, it's very risky, and that's not the preferred method of meditation. So we mentioned that hitbonenut, that is what our sages, and specifically the Chabad rabbis, they encouraged and that they embraced over hitbodedut. So this class will talk, or will delve a little bit more into the type of hitbonenut type of meditation, and see how far do we take it? How far do we take this concept of this idea of connecting, of finding that treasure, or connecting with this idea that we kind of like forgot the link of it. We also mentioned about the idea of the candle, that the candle, it only becomes alive once there is the fire in it. And that refers also to the body, that everything in this world is composed by a body and a soul. Ourselves, our human body has a body and a soul. And as soon as the soul goes away, the body loses all of its life. It's a lifeless body. But we also mentioned that there's many experiences in life that there have a body and a soul. As we mentioned, a handshake has a body and a soul. Has the hands themselves are, the body of the experience, but then there's the commitment that comes with that experience, and that's the soul of the experience. If you take away the commitment, the handshake means nothing. Or going to dinner with someone. the body of that experience is the actual food that might be eating, or the whatever experiencing, or whatever adventure you're having. But if there's no bonding time, or if there's no connection throughout that whole dinner, or through that whole adventure, so it's lifeless. So now we're going to see, and then we saw that this is part of the meditating on the life, meditating on the neshama, meditating on the soul, of how our experiences around the world and how our experiences in our life, they all have to become alive. So it's not about that meditation suddenly becomes something, or becomes a moment of ecstasy that I'm meditating now, like, don't bother me. This is my moment. I'm meditating, I'm connecting, I cannot be bothered. But rather, meditation is kind of like encompassing everything that we're having. And we're looking with the lens of that awareness that there is life in this world and there is purpose in this world. Suddenly, every interaction that we see and everything around us starts taking life, starts becoming alive, instead of just being happenstance. But now the question is, and we're going to delve into this class, is we're going to see, like, okay, how far does it go? And let me ask you, do you think God is a delegator or a micromanager? Well, let me, like, is he like your manager or delegator? Why would you say that, or what would you mean with that?
Because I still think that I make decisions that he's not necessarily like, he is a part of, but not necessarily like taking a micromanager role in the decision being made. Like, I think he's more just supervising, not micromanaging.
Okay, interesting that you used the word supervising. So it's like on the side, just like looking behind
he's there,
the
like,
one-sided mirror.
Like, if things go wrong, he's there. Like, he's stepping in. But if, like, things are, like, he's just watching and he's glad that things are going well.
Okay.
Well, I also, it's kind of like your ideal manager. And the way I think about it is, like, he's giving you the tools and the guidance for life, and then is like, go forth and do and live, essentially.
But then he's not, like, involved in, like, whatever happens, like, you're driving here, or like you rain, or like, all the other things that happen around you. It's not that he's like catching things or taking care of it.
No, I mean, I think there is an involvement in the way that, like, we're all connected, but I don't think it's like a micromanaging sort of situation, or maybe like micromanaging is the wrong word, because I feel like micromanaging is like a negative,
very negative connotation.
Like, is this a discussion of like free will?
Right.
So we're not going to get into the point of free will.
Okay.
Because that's more extensive. It's more extensive, and it's not on the line of meditation, although it's a very valid point, and Jewish philosophers debate with this point, but definitely a point to discuss, but it's not going to be the point of this class. And I think micromanager might not be the proper word. I think, like, maybe the word, like, how intimately involved do you think God is in your life? Maybe that's a better word than a micromanager.
I feel like there's a difference between being involved in the big picture and being involved in the details.
Okay.
Like, you can be involved in the big picture and the overall goal, but you don't necessarily need to have a part in all of the details, or not a need, but maybe there's like a trust in that things will flow and like ebb and flow towards this bigger goal and destination, and not need to get caught up in the details.
So so today's going to be a rainy day, and let it run its course, Rain knows what to do. Okay.
It's hard not to bring free will into this conversation.
It's very hard. It's very hard. That's why we'll follow kind of like the resources that I bring over here, so we'll kind of like stay in line. But this is kind of like where we're going to be getting into and seeing how Kabbalah, specifically Chassidus philosophy, gets into the weeds of how much godliness or how much life really is in the world. We said that every experience has a life, that every experience has a soul. It's like, well, we understand if, the Jews living in Egypt, that's an experience that deserves a soul. Or like a baby's born, that's an experience that, but like regular, whatever, rain or wind or a car, like things that seems to be so mundane. Is God also like involved in any part of that? We're gonna see how that plays for us. So, page 80, text number 1. I want to start.
In the previous lesson, we explored cognitive meditation as a tool to develop a sense of the universe's spiritual dimension. We will now focus on the ultimate goal of this meditation, which is not to transcend the material world or experience a peak spiritual moment, but to develop a deeper perspective of reality and change the way we experience life. Let me keep going.
Yeah.
The Hebrew word hitbonenut, contemplative meditation, stems etymologically from two words, binyan, building, and binah, contemplation. When we practice cognitive meditation, we build ourselves as a result of gaining a more profound understanding of our environment.
Yeah, so this is going to be the reason why meditation, or let's step back. Hebrew is called the Holy Tongue. It's not only called the Holy Tongue because God gave it to us through Moses, through the Torah, but the language itself, there is a lot of, it's designed. Every letter and every word in the language, in the Hebrew language, is by design. One of the ideas that we see in the Hebrew language that we don't find anywhere else is that in most languages, they came to be by a collective agreement of whatever society, in any place, they came to an agreement that they're going to use certain words for certain items. And that's how they communicate. Now, Hebrew, on the other hand, is the words give the definition. So the words themselves, it's not a result of a collective agreement, but the word itself is a definition of what you're referring to. Classical example is the Torah. Torah, most loosely translated as Bible, actually that would not be a correct translation. Bible sounds something that is a very thick book that has dust and belongs in an archive. A Torah sounds more like a Mora, which a Mora is a teacher. Teacher is someone who you see every day, you go to school, and when you don't know something, guides you what to do and when to do. So it's something that is alive, and something that is timely, it's something that is relevant. So suddenly we see that the Torah, the word itself, Torah, refers to something that is relevant, guidance. The word itself defines the concept that we're talking about. So when we come to now that we're going to start exploring the hitbonenut meditation, we're pointing out over here, we could see in the chart in page 81, that hitbonenut has like these two components of number one, binah, which means contemplation, which means to meditate, but also means binyan, which means building. That this contemplation is what actually is going to build your perception of the world. And the way that you look at your experiences and the way that you look at the world. So the more we build the more we meditate, the more of an awareness or the more we build in our mind those glasses to look at the world. So we're going to start going through the exercise of meditation and building those glasses to see how we see the world. So before we spoke about if God is, how God is involved in the world. Some said, depending, maybe is, some said that, from a side he's like supervising. Others said that general ideas, yes, but specifics not. Let's see what King David has to say, the Midrash Tehillim has to say commentary on Psalms that King David wrote. Brett, you want to read text number 2?
The spiritual force that animates creation is a manifestation of God's presence. Every detail within creation is an expression of God. Therefore, God is consciously present within our lives and within the world. Meditating on God's presence opens an awareness to a deeper dimension of reality, which leads in turn to a sense of wonder and joy. It also provides a comforting sense that results from being aware of God's closeness to us.
Yeah, text number 2, go for it.
King David exclaims, "My soul blesses God." Why did he feel the need to emphasize that it was his soul that praised God? He told himself, just as the soul fills the body, so does God fill the universe. So King David concluded, let the soul, which possesses the same qualities of God, praise him.
Okay, so King David over here is giving a definition of God's involvement in the world. The same as the soul is involved in the body, same as God is involved in the world. What do you understand of that definition, of that comparison from the soul on God's involvement in the world?
Seems like he's micromanaging.
Why would you say that?
Because, if he fills the universe, fills everything, he's in control of everything.
The same way as the soul penetrates the body entirely. Okay. Anyone else? So, yeah, that's the point. Basically, that God is not like a refrigerator getting energy from the electricity. That, the refrigerator now becomes alive, that is working. Or that the phone is working now. The phone turned on. The phone really didn't turn on. There's some parts of the phone that are having some electricity flowing, and only those areas, you see some difference before and after. But a body, every single aspect of the body is infused by the soul.
What about involuntary actions of the body?
What do you mean?
Like when you go to the doctor and they hit your knee,
Yeah.
your knee moves.
What about
Would
it?
you say that's your soul?
I would say that definitely has life.
Okay.
If you knock it, if you hit it and there's no movement, is that a good sign?
You're dead.
What?
Aren't you dead?
That's
No,
not a
not
sign.
necessarily.
Could be paralyzed.
Necessarily. But is it a good
not a
sign?
good sign.
It's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of proving the point that because it was hit, there is life. If it's not hit, it's like, okay, there is a problem. Why there is no life in this nerve? Why am I hitting it and there's nothing, it's not moving? So King David is saying that God's involvement suddenly came from something that is he knows about it, but he maybe he's from the side, or maybe he's from a certain distance. King David is saying no. God is penetrating the world the same way as the soul penetrates the body. Interesting, because we're going to see from other sources, but even at times the ingrown toenail is also growing from the soul.
Oh, I just got shivers thinking about that.
Yeah. Although it's damaging, although at the same time it's damaging the body, nevertheless, it grows, the body is nurturing it, and the soul is giving it, is growing more and more that now. And that, that's kind of a different point, but that gives an explanation of how a lot of times there could be things that totally against God, nevertheless, they're still alive. It's because, at times the body also has some concepts that might not, or some parts of the body that might not be the most healthiest to the body, but nevertheless are also alive and receiving vitality from the soul. That was a side point, but nevertheless.
Or cancer.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Right, they're still receiving that life from the soul, and although they are deadly. But that's why it's a good analogy. That's why King David is bringing this analogy. But let's see what the previous Rebbe had to say regarding these, or taking further, making more real, this concept of God being really infused in every aspect of our life. Text number 3. Yara, you want to read? Continue.
A highly detailed self-awareness of the manner in which our own soul operates within our body will allow us to appreciate that the divine is manifest within every detail of the universe, and that each detail exists and is sustained through divine energy. This parallel is expressed in the teaching, just as the soul fills the body, so does God fill the world, and is expressed in the verse, from my flesh I can perceive the divine. Every sensation and experience of the body, even the most insignificant, is an active expression of the soul. Similarly, even the smallest detail or phenomenon within the universe is actively directed by God. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, when we develop this awareness, we sense not only the divine providence in everything, but we see divinity clearly wherever we turn. We can literally see the divine exposed.
So knowing or having this, the way that it works, or the way that God created the world, suddenly takes away that randomness factor that we find, that we think that the world is in. At times we have that unexpected, we go somewhere, we find someone, we all hear the stories of how like you were on the right time, in the right moment, the right place, and we attribute this to, well, it was random, it was nature, whatever it was. But according to Hasidus, there's not such a thing. Like every single aspect of creation is infused by godliness. Every single aspect of creation, there's nothing that goes unattended. There's nothing that goes without design behind it. So when we develop this awareness, when we meditate, or when we build that muscle in our mind of what the reality of the world, we could start appreciating, or at least be mindful, that whatever we're going over, whatever we're doing, there's something that needs to be done, or something that is, everything is by design. There's nothing that is happenstance. There's a story that has been repeated a lot during COVID, and that is the story of there's a women's convention every year. It's actually happening next weekend. There is a women's convention happening for the Chabad Shluchos, for the older Rebbetzins are going into Crown Heights. And usually at that time there's a shortage of peanut butter and jelly around the States. But there was, at the time, I think it was in the 70s, it took place in Detroit. And on the way back, there was a storm and the planes got canceled. And they phoned in to the Rebbe, or they sent a telegram, no, it was probably phoned in, saying that they're stuck at the airport. So the Rebbe said that he doesn't understand what stuck is. So the church explained, no, stuck is like when you cannot move forward, you cannot go. That's like you're stuck, you cannot do it. So the Rebbe said, like, there's not such a thing as being stuck. At times we create this expectations or timelines of where we should be at what time. That could be in life. I should have been whatever, having that dream job by 22, and I'm already 23, and I'm still not having my dream job, or I should have been up, I should have gone to sleep at whatever time. Like, it doesn't matter what the context is. We create all these expectations, and we think that we are going to be the ones that deciding, or well, we're getting into the free will component over here, but like at times we think that things could be at random. The point that the previous Rebbe is saying over here is that everything is by design. God infuses every aspect of this creation is infused with godliness. So it is not such a thing as experience or a position or an opportunity that is happenstance. That's totally contrary to what Hasidic believes. So, text number 4. Amanda, you want to read? Page 85.
The entirety of creation divides into 4 kingdoms: mineral, vegetable, animal, and human. Each of these is subdivided into myriads of specific species. If we examine the world of plants, for example, we encounter a broad spectrum of vegetation, such as trees, crops, vegetables, grass, and herbs, each category of which is further divided into multiple species. There is an astonishing variety of trees, and each kind is unique and distinguished from all other trees. There is a tremendous diversity of plants and herbs, and again, each kind offers a unique nutritional value. Some are beneficial while others are poisonous, and they each carry a unique design and set of properties. Furthermore, within each of these subspecies, there are countless individual units, each of which is similarly unique. Now, each individual unit possesses a unique life force, divine energy, that is tailored for it. That life force is what we call its soul, the spiritual entity that animates it, causes it to grow, and guides everything that happens to it from the moment it sprouts from the earth until its last moment when it's plucked. Even the plant's final fate is within the jurisdiction of a specific divine providence that determines whether the plant will be harvested for an overt purpose, such as animal fodder, trampled underfoot in an apparently aimless manner, or wither in due course and disintegrate entirely. Such a matter is the result of a specific decision and calculation of divine providence. Everything in this world has a unique divine energy that is its life and guide. Each blade of grass is unique. It may appear identical to another blade, but closer examination reveals specific features that set a specific blade apart from every other blade of grass in the universe. This distinction is the result of the specific divine energy that God invests into this blade. It is an entirely individualized divine manifestation.
And text number 5. Continue text number 5.
Okay.
Finishing off the whole point.
Rabbi Simon said, each blade of grass has a spiritual force that strikes it and tells it to grow.
Yeah, so we see the depth or the extent that when King Solomon said, when King David said that the same way as God infuses, the same way as the soul infuses the body, the same way God infuses the world, it means every to the smallest detail. Every single aspect of this world, to the smallest detail, is infused by God, and it is infused by life. And it's us, through our meditation, that we get to see and we get to bring alive or see the life that is in every single aspect. So the more we grow in the meditation, the more we grow into this awareness, the more suddenly our world around us becomes more alive. Suddenly nothing is happenstance, and things are thereby, we're going to see more how by design it is, but everything has a life into it, and it's a matter for us to recognize the life that it has. And text number 6, we mentioned this in last class, of recognizing your surroundings, that this is achieved through hitzbonenut, and this is a mashal, this is a parable, a Hasidic parable. So Zach, you want to read text number 6?
The Cosmic Symphony. The following parable I heard from my master, my grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov of blessed memory. There was once a talented musician that played beautiful, sweet music. All who heard it were mesmerized by the sweet, pleasurable, blissful sounds. They could not hold themselves back from dancing to the rafters in sheer ecstasy. The closer the people drew to the source of music, the more entranced they became and the more ecstatic their dancing. Just then, a deaf individual came across the scene. Not noticing the musician, he simply observed people dancing wildly and regarded them as crazy. What on earth could make people so ridiculously joyful all of a sudden? He muttered to himself. Now, if he were intelligent, wise, and knowledgeable, he would deduce that they must be dancing to a delightful melody. In fact, contemplating the depth of pleasure they must be experiencing. Judging by their response, he would be moved to join them in delightful dance. The analogy is obvious.
So although the analogy is obvious, what is referring over here is that there's life around us in every single detail and every single aspect. And it's us that we have to have that awareness to be able to hear to see the life and to hear the music. Like we mentioned last week, a silent disco. You know, you walk in, you think everyone in silent disco is a little bit off, but at the end of the day, it's like you're now listening to the music. As soon as you put the headphones on, you also get in the mood. And the hitbonenut, or the meditation, what we achieve with meditation, is to hear and to be aware of the life that exists around us. And although we are just like going from kind of like step to step, it's a lifelong journey of being able to like build that muscle, to look around and hear it, or like see the life around us, by default. Most of us, we don't have it, but that's why hitbonenut and the discipline of hitbonenut, or setting aside time to contemplate on these ideas of how God infuses the world, that will be the first step to have this awareness and to be able to see how all the experiences that we have, they're not only a body experience, but it actually has a soul and has a life. We'll skip to page 91. So we just learned that not only God finds himself in the world, but God is infused himself in every single aspect and every single detail of the world. Now the question is, how much does it matter? Does every single detail matter? Like, what's the extent of the priority or the importance that is given to every single item and every single detail? Dustin, you want to read?
Yeah, but
Page 91.
I was gonna say, like, if God's in every single detail, wouldn't everything matter then?
Well,
Or I guess what's your definition of matter? But I'll read.
it's a good question, but that's exactly what we're going to be addressing.
All right. He covers the heavens with clouds.
We'll start from the top.
Oh, sorry. Judaism teaches that God is everywhere and that his presence fills the universe. But God's presence is not merely passive. Rather, it's constantly and deliberately guides and orchestrates each detail of existence. Nothing occurs by chance. All is guided by God's hand in accord with his grand master's plan for the universe he created. This leads us to the understanding that everything is exactly as it is supposed to be, and that God has arranged our lives the way he did for a reason. This meditation can be a valuable tool for overcoming negative feelings and adversity.
So we kind of like going back to the meditation. This is not the purpose of this meditation. Is not to control feelings, but this is a side effect that this meditation has. When we suddenly let go of all the expectations or all the control that we want in our lives, because that's at the end of the day, we're composed by a body and a soul, and from our body side of us, we want to self-preserve. I want to make sure that we have the right number in the bank account, and that we have the plans, and that we have like everything that we need is there in order for us to be, in order for us to exist. So from that end, it's totally understandable that we want to be in control. The body screams like, you cannot just believe, you have to be in control. But then from the other side, if you want to be in control and you want to have, someone has all these expectations, when things don't go accordingly, so that's a reason, it's a valid reason to either get angry or to get depressed, or to have a negative experience or bad feelings about it, because it's not working out. It's not working out for me. We hear multiple times from people, it's just not working out. This week didn't work out for me. And at the end of the day, if we have this meditation present, that everything that happens not only is in a way that God is present, or that God is infusing every single detail, but that also is by design. So there's not such a thing as it's not working out. It's actually working out exactly how it's supposed to be working out. Fine, we have all these insecurities that we have, that we want to have, we want to achieve, we want to make sure that we are in control. Understandable. That comes from our body, and that comes from our animal side of us. But at the end of the day, the reality is that every single detail is by design. And through this awareness that every single detail is by design, gives us that comfort of letting go. At times, it's a lot of issues would be solved between parents and children, people and their colleagues, if they would just let go. But it's hard to let go at times. But letting go, specifically in this case, when it comes to God creating everything, that is the only way to go about it. Because if we will only believe in our plans, at times we are too short-sighted to what's really in store for us. And letting go is the only way to accept really what God's designing for us and for our life. So we'll see how by design every single aspect of creation is. Text number 9. Yeah, Dustin, yeah.
He covers the heavens with clouds, prepares rain for the earth, and causes mountains to sprout grass. He gives an animal its food, and as well to the hungry, young ravens that call out.
Yeah, so apparently the ravens are not. Apparently the mother raven doesn't really take care of the children raven. So God is the one who takes care of the raven children for them to grow. But every single aspect of creation, every single rain and grass and food for the animals, all of that comes from God directly, comes in a way of by design. Text number 10.
With reference to your writing about doubts and difficulty and about a feeling of insecurity in general, I trust it is unnecessary to elaborate to you at length that such feelings arise when a person thinks that he is alone and can only rely upon himself and his own judgment, and therefore feels doubtful and insecure about each move he has to make. And while he also trusts in God, this trust is somehow superficial, without permeating him and his way of life in every detail, and only on certain days, such as the high holy days, he feels more close to God. But when a person's faith in God is deep, and when he reflects that God's benevolent providence extends to each and every person, and to each and every detail, and each and every minute, surely he must develop a profound sense of security and confidence. The concept of divine providence is better understood in the original term of Hashgacha Protis.
Hashgacha Protis.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Hashgacha Protis means careful watchfulness, for which reason the term Hashgacha is used also in connection with the law of Kashrut, where every detail has to be carefully watched. Nor is another...
I'll just interfere here that you mentioned supervisor, that God supervises us. Yeah? So the Hashgacha Pratis in English is translated as supervision. God has, in a way, is being the supervisor, but not in a way of micromanager, because that has a negative connotation. More in a way of making sure that each step of the way he is setting things up for us. Okay, go ahead.
Nor is another translation, which is sometimes used in connection with Hashgacha Protis, namely supervision, entirely satisfactory in this case, because supervision implies overseeing. That is to say, seeing from above, whereas Hashgacha, in the sense of God's watchfulness, means knowing matters through and through.
So when God is the supervisor, it's like in a much deeper way. It's not only like in a supervisor of a kosher, but it's God being the supervisor. He knows through and through.
The belief in such Hashgacha Protis is basic to our religion and way of life, so much so that before every new year and during the beginning of the new year, we say twice daily Psalm 27, God is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? God is the strength of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? From this it follows that even if things happen not as desired according to human calculations, and even if it seems that even according to the Torah it should have been different, a Jew still puts his trust in God.
Fascinating. So Jewish meditation takes the idea of God not only being introduced into the world, but God not only being introduced into every aspect of it, but that every aspect of our life and in the universe, it is by design. And suddenly, when we have that awareness, we can not only bring alive our experiences that we're having, but the peace and those negative feelings that or those doubts that automatically need to dissipate, because at the end of the day, God is running the world and God is making all of this happening. Now, we mentioned that God is intimately involved in every detail, but the question now is like, or we're going to explore now is like, we'll take this a step further. How is this connected, or are all the details connected with each other? Like, what I'm doing here, or we're doing here, our Torah learning has any effect or any connection with what the Jews are doing in Israel, or with people are going through, I don't know, in the whole Atlanta area. Like, how the details of our life play amongst, or are they connected with anyone else? So, page 96. We'll take it even a step further. Brett, you want to read?
Everything that happens is relevant to the overall purpose of existence. The smallest nod of a solitary blade of grass carries cosmic significance and is necessary for fulfillment of the purpose of creation. Surely this is even truer of each human. Each of us matters greatly to God. We each play indispensable roles in the cosmic drama of history and destiny. This profound awareness injects purpose and significance to each moment of our lives.
Yeah, it's a little bit long, but yeah. Continue 97.
The Baal Shem Tov taught that divine providence does not only mean that God orchestrates the individual movement of each of the manifold created entities, and that the same providence is actually determining the existence and life of that entity. It also means that the particular movement of a single entity bears a direct impact on the overall purpose of creation. Take, for example, the slightest quiver of a solitary sliver of a plant flourishing in the belly of the forest, or upon some tremendous mountain, or one of our planet's deepest valleys that has never been traversed by a human. The plant's movements to the right, to the left, forward, or backward throughout the duration of its lifespan are actively determined by an ongoing divine providence. God has issued a specific decree. This particular plant will live for a specific amount of months, days, and hours, and that during this time it will turn and bend in these directions of a certain amount of times. Beyond all that, however, each of these particular movements is significant for the overall purpose of creation. The combination and synthesis of all the myriad particular occurrences involving countless millions of species and subdivisions that exist within all four kingdoms, the sublime divine intent that underpins all of creation is consummated. Not only is every feature of every entity divinely orchestrated, it plays an indispensable role in the divine purpose of creation.
This is extreme. Even within Jewish thought, no one takes this idea of God's involvement and how important things are to the way that the Baal Shem Tov teaches us of how intimately, by design, and important every single aspect of our life and the world is. Baal Shem Tov is saying that even if a leaf, if it falls on the right side or on the left side, that is by design. How long stays on the tree, that's also by design. It's the intimately details of where, or according to Kabbalah, every single aspect is infused and is by design, and everything plays and not only for that specific item or for that specific species, but plays a role in the whole cosmic, like everything's connected. That is the extreme that this concept of God infusing the world is according to Kabbalah. And Hitbonenut brings us that appreciation. And although at times, this might not be very logical, but an example, it's, go for the fixture, pixelated purpose. We have a picture over here that every moment and occurrence is like a single pixel. It might seem plain and meaningless in isolation, but it plays an integral part in the complete picture. And that is also every single thing in this world. We cannot see how it plays a picture, or we don't have. One day we'll see how everything plays a picture and how everything plays part of the design. But as of now, everything seems fractionalized, and everything seems separated. But only through meditation, only through the hitbonenut, when we bring this awareness to us, that's what starts to bring and to connect all of our creation. Now, if this applies to creation and to all these species that we never met or human beings haven't discovered yet, so text number 12.
Just as we enjoin to believe in God, so must we subsequently believe in ourselves. In other words, we must believe that God has provided us with a mission in life, and our lives are not meaningless, but rather our souls come from God, the source of life, and God is delighted and satisfied when we execute his will.
So now imagine if a tree or a plant or a leaf has a purposeful, or is by design, matters, every single detail of it. Our life, we are the human beings. Human beings are the highest species in the world. Human beings are the species that could change and that could evolution. It could evolve. Human beings are a species that could evolve and progress way more than other species. You know, if you took a cow today, you look at it today, and you travel back in time 2,000 years, I think the cows still said moo then. You know, I don't think there was much evolution in the cows. Human beings, not at all. You know, human beings nowadays, the ideas and the concepts and the topics, you might want to go back for 2,000 years ago and you look around at what's happening. It's like, okay, I'd rather be born 2,000 years ago. But nevertheless, we are the only ones that have this progress. And we are the only ones that have this capability of progress. So according to Chassidus, suddenly like you start realizing, oh, I'm needed around here. I'm here by design. Suddenly it's the whole spotlight. Before we're trying to like justify why we are here, or trying to find meaning to our life, or trying to fulfill that anxiety or the insecurities that we have, when we have this awareness that I'm the one that is needed and created for a purpose, suddenly like, okay, I don't have to be finding the meaning of my life. I'm here to serve someone else. I'm here to be of service. I'm here because someone else needs me. I'm here by design. I cannot be busy trying to figure it out why I exist here in the first place. Or, yes, the reason why you exist is because you're needed and you're by design, and you don't have to justify your existence. Your existence is not an accident. Your existence is by design. And that awareness, if we could have that awareness on the world, us are the people, or looking inside is what really this counts. And when really we look inside and take this awareness that everything is by design, we might start becoming alive. We might start being people that instead of just, being in a routine, suddenly we become people of like, oh, okay, I need to do something. I'm here for someone else. And this alive that we started off in a human being, and then we said that this meditation applies to even the leaves in the mountains. Now we bring it back to us of how we have to step into this position and to the, not the role, but into the design or the purpose that we were created for. Text number 12. 13. Who was reading? Oh, Amanda? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to read
read again?
No, you got it.
We should recognize and fully appreciate that our travels to various locations are not random. Each journey is specifically directed by God. The divine intention in orchestrating these journeys is that each individual has been allotted a specific portion of the material world to spiritually rectify. Our portions are in specific locations to which we must journey. We accomplish these acts of rectification in a variety of ways, such as through studying Torah or praying in that location, or through eating, drinking, and sleeping there for the sake of properly serving God, or through another means of performing God's will in that place. The Baal Shem Tov associated this concept with the verse, God establishes the steps of man, meaning that a person's desires to relocate to a place is actually inspired by God for the purpose of that individual to engage in a particular aspect of divine service, thereby rectifying whatever this person has been appointed to rectify. Therefore, when we arrive at any given location, we must reflect on this deeper reality and challenge ourselves. Why am I here? It is certainly not random. For what achievement did God lead me to this spot?
So Brett, you're looking for a new job, right?
Yeah.
You think you're looking for a new job because you want a new opportunity or a new partner or new coworkers. But from what we're learning here, you're looking for a new job because you have a different calling. There's something calling you somewhere else that you have to achieve. And if we started looking at our jobs, our schools, the communities that we join, the gym that we go to, all these places that we feel like there is a reason for us to be there. Of course, there is a superficial reason because we need to get healthy or we need to get in shape. But at the end of the day, it's that all. It's just like a bodily experience, or we're not going to bring this experience to life. It's just going to be, I'm going to work to get a paycheck. Just it's a lifeless experience. Or there's something more to that, or is maybe all of that experience is being designed, all of that experience is being set out for you. And the Baal Shem Tov is teaching that no, that every single aspect is by design. I remember first time my wife and I went away without the kids. It was like this summer. We went to Chattanooga. And finally someone accepted our kids for a night. And we dropped them off, by my in-laws. We dropped them off, and like when I had to book a hotel, like I know Chattanooga, and I was like, for whatever reason, I was gonna use points. Then I said, like, just pay it, and then ended up booking a hotel. I forgot the name. It's apparently like a historic hotel over there. There's like ghosts. Anyone knows about it? Whatever. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't book here. Maybe I shouldn't book in the downtown. Like, I was thinking there's probably just Jewish guilt that I could just just book and enjoy it. Have to like double think it. Like, I should book somewhere else. Oh my God, I have this. Anyway, we were there, and so we go to the lobby, and then this guy says to me, Shalom Aleichem, and he sees me wearing a yarmulke. So we started talking. Ended up being that this guy was there passing by, was on a business trip with his son, he took his son with him, and he was very involved in college, very involved at Chabad when he was in college. Whatever, we spoke, he bought me a drink, and then I asked him, like, did you wrap tefillin today? And he was like, no, I did not wrap. And so we said, okay, let's wrap tefillin. He said, okay, let's wrap. So we went to the room, we wrapped tefillin, and then we left. But I remember telling my wife, it's like, this wrapping tefillin with him, like, took away all that guilt thing that I was writing myself. I mean, it was worth it, was not worth it. It's like, this is what I was here for. Like, it's obvious that I didn't just book a hotel because it was prettier, nice looking. I had to put on tefillin with someone. That's why I booked the hotel. Like, everything made sense. And I think it's just having those moments, or keeping that eye open. At times we just don't realize. At times we think that we're just going to have a 100% bodily experience. I'm just going to enjoy myself. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to relax and I'm going to enjoy myself. And God is not involved in this experience. He's stayed at the shul. But that's not the reality. Like, there is a design, there is a life, and it's up to us if we want to put it in the thought, the meditation, or the awareness, if we want to bring this experience alive, or we just want to leave it dead. So L'chaim, everyone, we should not only be alive because we weren't run over by a bus, but we should be alive because we're alive.
Okay.
Get the point?
No.
No. Some people you see, they're still alive, but they're lifeless. They have like nothing happening for them. They're whatever, busy with getting exercise and making money, and like, what type of life is that? All those aspects are lifeless. Seems like he's alive simply because he wasn't hit by a bus, but he's not really alive. There's no life in his experiences. He has a body that is alive, fine, but he does any of his experiences of anything that he's doing, any of the projects that he's involved with, are those projects alive? Those projects have any life? That they bring along, they not provide any service, but are they for any purpose? At times you see people and like, no, it's just like self-consumed, and those people are alive because they haven't been hit by a bus yet. And then you have other people who are alive, like, no, like, they work and they give charity, they exercise and they're good mood, and they usually are positive with other people. Like, those people suddenly are alive. Their experiences, it's not just to like feel their insecurities and whatever they're lacking, but those experiences are experiences that are giving, and experiences that are for sharing and for other people as well. Suddenly that is a person that is alive. Suddenly it's not only a bodily experience, but is an experience that has a soul as well with it. So we have to attach the soul, we have to bring back the soul, or not only bring back, but reveal or expose the soul that's already in, because God is there. It's just concealed, is unexposed. God is in the gym also, but he's not exposed over there. You have to expose everything, but not the gym. but like all the experiences, they have to be exposed and alive. So, l'chaim, and that is really what Tu B'Shvat is all about. It's about having strong roots and giving fruit and celebrating those giving of the fruit and being a tree that gives fruit. It's not I gave one fruit, but our nature is that you become a tree, that the tree gives fruit by nature. So that should be our identity, and through meditation or through contemplating on these ideas, bringing awareness to these ideas come to life. L'chaim. This was pushing the edge of what Jewish philosophy is. Even within Jewish philosophy, not everyone agrees with this. So this is specifically the Baal Shem Tov and his philosophy. There's more to it.
Doesn't Jewish philosophy say that it's God knows what, like, we have free will for choice, but God knows what we'll choose, so it's predetermined. So we have the choice, but it's also like. So
we don't have the choice.
Well, I think I just so much about semantics. I think. Yeah. But I think that was what they talked about in the class that I had taken.
Yeah, that's a concept that I don't really grasp. I know that there is a paradox in those ideas, and I never really explored that idea of maybe because I just don't think I'll get it, and that's why I didn't explore it in the first place. But that's definitely something that Jewish philosophers wrestle with. Of from one side, if we have free will, so that means that God does not know yet what we're going to do. So if we have free will, so that means that, and then if God knows what we're going to do, so that we don't really have free will. So one or the other. We cannot have it both ways. And I don't remember what's the answer. I don't have the answer. But I know that there is a paradox. I know that it's been discussed. And at the end of the day, a lot of the ideas that we discuss, or a lot of ideas that we try to grasp, I heard once. I mean, in Tanya, there's an interesting example. And at times, there is the world of when it comes to sensing. You know, you could touch something, and then and you sense it with your hands, but you cannot sense an idea with your hands. You cannot sense an idea or a concept with your hands. It's just a different world. And us as human beings, we have the world of our logic works in a sense of almost like touching and sensing with our hands. And God's logic is totally not in the same world as us. So at times, our logic is not the right vehicle to get the answer. And that is one of the aspects when trust, the gear of trust kicks in. So trust doesn't really mean that I don't want to think about it, I trust you. You know, it's not that I go to the doctor and I trust the doctor. You don't trust the doctor. You're confident that the doctor is going to do what's best for you. Or maybe you are trusting the doctor, but that's misusing the power of trust. Trust only starts at the edge of logic. Meaning after there's no logic that could explain anything, there's nothing left but to connect with this idea through believing. And that's why we believe in God, because it doesn't mean that we don't question him. Of course we question him. Jews are the ones who question God the most. We're not afraid of questioning God. We love questioning God. But nevertheless, we still believe in God, because those are like two vehicles. The logic will only get me this far, but then God is way more than that. You know, I have to like use or the power of belief kicks in, and that's how I connect with God. There's a story that Elie Wiesel writes about the three, when he was in the concentration camp or the ghetto, the three rabbis sit down to create a Jewish court, and they're taking God into trial because all the atrocities that's happening. So they take God to trial, and the verdict is that God is responsible or liable, or God is is the offender, and after they said guilty. After they said that the verdict is that God is guilty, they said, okay, let's go pray now. So Elie Wiesel was basically pointing out that even Jewish law will exploit the edges of logic, or the edges of logic the way that Torah was taught. But then there's the connection that Jewish people have with God, that it uses the power of belief. They don't replace each other. We don't stop believing in God because they have questions, and you don't stop believing in God because you have questions, and you cannot say I believe in God, I cannot question him. Those are like two different tracks or two different powers that we have in ourselves. So at the end of the day, the way I think about it is that when it comes to like specifically this question, this is one of those questions that I kind of like put in the category of like, this is a God's logic that is way beyond the human's logic. And we have to accept that exists because God's logic, or because God's much greater than our logic. And there's more to it. But for today, that's enough. Anyway, l'chaim, and I have to get back home. My wife is not feeling well, but if you guys want to hang out and have some more wine and fruit, please be my guest. Okay.
She has to speak recovery.
She's been sick for a week already, so
Oh man.
Did she
That's
test?
COVID. What?
Did she test for
No.
COVID?
She has COVID, but she didn't test. Yeah. Not fun. That's fun.
It's going around.
Right now.
It's going around, right?
It's coming back around.
Yeah, I
It's
had
doing
it at
its
the end
round
of
again.
December. So I had it twice last year.
Yeah.
Knocked you out?
What?
Knocked you out?
Pretty good, yeah.
I haven't seen my wife like that in
Yeah.
years.
Well, when I had it, so last year I had it like right at the end of February. That one really kicked my butt. Like I never get a fever, and I had like 103-degree fever, like borderline
Wow.
hallucinating. Like was really and had a fever for like almost 3 days, which